Welcome back to another episode of Victory Drive, everyone. I'm sitting in the beautiful state of Illinois with my good buddy Curtis Geyer.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm co-hosting.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be fun. A little crossover episode.
I like it. We're in the least firearm-friendly state besides California, maybe?
Yeah, probably pretty close. I mean, it's a pretty close competition between the two, I feel like, between Illinois and California.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. Great state of Chicago, we'll call it.
No, that's not true.
No? Okay.
There's big deer here.
Yeah, there are big deer here. Yeah, it's not bad. Could be worse. There could be small deer here and shitty gun laws like New York.
Okay.
So
yeah. All right. Fair.
Yeah. But we're in Gregg Ritz's house or cabin or second home.
Yeah. Welcome, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys coming over.
Thanks for having us.
I know your schedules are busy. Of course, you're going to be here in another day or two chasing turkeys.
I'll be here in the morning. We came down here. We're like, oh, yeah, if you guys want to hunt for Turkey Palooza, do it here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we'll really do it. You're like, yeah, really do it. And I'm like, really? And you're like, yeah. And so now we're here.
I mean, how can you say no to that?
Cartel boys just rolled in. So
I know.
It's going to get fun.
Oh, yeah. I feel kind of weird with the only one with headset on.
No, you're doing good. You look great.
Okay,
yeah, you look great.
Like
you're the main host, so it's all good.
Okay.
So let's we got some stuff to talk about because we talked that we're in Illinois for firearms, which is funny for the topic of this episode or the main subjects of the episode. But nobody come to Illinois if there wasn't big deer. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
That's the only reason why I still live here. You know,
they're big deer.
I mean, I would be in Iowa, but I'd have to be a resident of Iowa. I mean, I own land over there, so I still can't only hunt.
See, I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I think it should be different because if you buy,
I pay my taxes.
That's right.
Of course, you non-residents would think that.
Yeah, you're the only Iowa boy in here.
You guys are jacking up my land price. That's why I can't afford good land in Iowa. The state that I grew up in.
Yeah, it's his fault.
It's all your guys' fault. Coming here and buying up all of our sweet, sweet Iowa land.
Well, that's the thing for Illinois is, I don't know if you get crap for owning ground in Illinois, but I get shit for living here. They're like, you live in Illinois, you're right on the border. Why don't you live in Iowa? I'm like, well, I was born here. I have property. My footings are here, and there's big deer.
Right.
If I'd move really fast if it wasn't for big deer.
Oh, well, and taxes. You like taxes?
Yes. Yeah. The county
big
I
deer
live
and
in.
big taxes.
Yeah, that's right. The county I live in right now is fair on taxes, but
well, it's the price you pay to live in a civilized society. So
But they did legalize straight wall cartridges.
Oh, they did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a big change last season.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just last season that they changed it?
Well, Iowa was just the year before, right?
Yep.
Or a couple years before.
That's a couple of years. Yeah, I think we're on, I want to say like 3 or 4.
Oh, I didn't know. I know, and Indiana's had it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, are you allowed multiple shots or just single shot?
No, we don't have a limit on magazine capacity in Iowa, as far as I know.
Yeah. So
don't quote me on that.
Right.
I'm not the
so Illinois, if you go straight wall, at least currently, I'm sure it's going to change.
Yeah.
Single shot. Now.
Really?
Now, single shot doesn't mean break open. So technically, you can have an AR.
Oh.
Right? Just not have a magazine with you.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
or you could use a bolt action, but just
Right.
dump
Have
one
a
in
blind
there.
have a blind magazine. Yeah.
That's kind of wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the thought
now,
process
if you have a slug gun, I mean, sky's the limit.
You can
Oh,
pump
really?
3 total.
Well, unless you're local and a farmer.
Off the rule book. Yeah.
Wait, is it 3 in a shotgun?
It is 3.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. What's the thought process behind that? They don't want World War III every deer season?
I don't know.
People still drive. So I think they're worried that, they're going to keep shooting at the deers in sight. And
Yeah, people drive in Iowa too.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
And can
drive.
party hunt in Iowa.
See,
Oh, yeah.
that blows
Yeah.
my mind with Iowa that you can party hunt, but you can't get a landowner tag as a non-resident.
Well,
That's crazy to me. That's backwards.
The thought process behind it with the DNR is that let the residents kind of do the majority of the culling, I guess, if you will. And when you're party hunting, I mean, that's when most of the deer get killed, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
During firearm
Yeah.
season, especially if you're party
Well, they,
hunting.
well, they
and stuff.
shoot everything and then divvy the tags up.
Yeah, well,
Really? That's what
what
it
they
is,
do.
right?
fair.
All right. We got.
I wouldn't say. I don't know. I wouldn't say that's a super common tactic. I know it was like when I was a kid growing up. It was kind of like a you talk about it amongst your party. You can obviously every party can make their own rules, but when I was growing up, I was like, okay, who wants their any sex tag? Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, well, I want to kill my buck. If I kill a buck, I want to put my tag on it, kind of thing. Like, okay, well, we won't shoot your tag, kind of thing. But I also grew up with no doe tags. Like, it was just a weird time back then. Like, it wasn't that long ago, but we didn't have doe tags or anything like that. It's just you get your NSX tag, and you know, you have a party of 5 or 6 guys, and you can shoot 5 or 6 deer, no matter kind of what they are, I guess. But
interesting, different. Well, there's a big announcement that I'm going to shift with this whole podcast while we're here, because I think it's going to fold into a lot of other conversations. We can go back to this.
Very nice segue.
Yeah, hard, right? Real hard.
Hard right turn and right into the fucking opposing lanes.
We can sound the horn after this, but Thompson Center's back, baby.
It is.
That's big.
And family and back family owned.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, I think.
Yeah.
Because go ahead. You're the host.
So I want to start at just kind of like a real quick, like, why Thompson Center means so much to you. I know you were on with Working Class, and you really did a really good job covering your background and all that stuff, so I don't want to spend a whole shit ton of time talking about your background again, but why does Thompson Center mean that much to you, and why did you want to bring it back from the dead, basically?
So I went to work for Thompson Center in 1996. So I spent 12 years at Thompson Center. But at the time in my life, I went from being a sales rep, right? And I had some great lines. I had Loophole, Magleg, Nosler, Remington. I mean, I had some really great lines, and I was asked to interview for the job for the sales manager position at Thompson Center. And it took, and we covered this on our last podcast, it took several months of discussions. But once I flew out to New Hampshire and I met the owner at the time, Bob Gustafson, I met the plant manager, Ken French, I met the people, I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, you ever just go somewhere and meet people, like automatically you click?
Yeah.
And they had such a philosophy on quality, innovation, and taking care of the customer. I mean, all the way to the end. If somebody, ran over the gun with their truck and they're getting ready to go to Alaska in 2 days and they're freaking out on the phone, they're just like, hey, we'll just send you a gun. We'll square it up later.
Yeah.
Right? And of course they're muzzle loaders, so they're not FFL traced, right? But I mean, that's just how through their mind is like, we want you to have a great experience with our firearms. So, you live in that culture. And then in 1998, so I was only there, a year and a half, they have a fire.
Oh.
Destroyed a third of the manufacturing facility, brought the company to its knees, like halted that day. Boom. I mean, you go search it on the internet right now. I mean, unbelievable. So they used to make their own stocks, wooden stocks. They had a sawmill in Prairie, Kansas. They would cut the trees, blank the trees, kiln dry them, ship it to New Hampshire, hand carve them, hand inlet them, hand sand them. So, I mean, that's how, they were vertically integrated. They also had a foundry where they would pour their steel and make their molds of, the receivers and the lock plates and trigger guards and all of that. So
was that kind of their mindset, just to keep it really like specific and customized for like your indivical person?
They believed, and this is the New England mentality, right? This is what their belief is: if we control every aspect of the firearm, we control the ultimate quality of the end product.
Okay. Yep.
So if we have an investment casting facility and we make our own barrels and we make our own stocks, we can then control that it's the best gun possible on the planet. So fire starts in the wood department, and it destroyed the machine shop, test shooting, everything. Company comes to a halt. Boom. Jeez. So the next day, I go in and I meet with Bob Gustafson, the owner, and the other the managers. And, we're like looking, walking around, like observing the damages. We're just in shock, not knowing what to do, right? I mean, you just took there's 350 people working for the company.
Oh, that's it at the time? That's like, that's a lot of people, but.
Yeah. But think about this. Boom, everyone's out of a job that day.
Gosh.
Right? So,
that's devastating.
It's devastating. And for a company that really took care of their people. And all of a sudden you start looking around. Here comes a car. Here comes a car. Here comes another car. Every employee came back to work.
Oh, that's cool.
And Bob's like, listen, I'm glad you guys are here. I need to speak with you. I can't pay you now. I'm working on the insurance has got to come. There's got to be, an investigation, And he said, I will take care of you, but just give me some time and completely understand. You know, HR will be here. They'll talk with you. You're like, we're not here for money. They're like, we brought brushes and shovels. We're here to clean up.
Oh, no kidding.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, they were like rooting through it, like, hey, can we still use this? If we salvage, like we polish this, can we still use this part and use this part? So literally the employees rebuilt that company with the hope, right, that it would get going and you know, then they could receive a paycheck. And Bob hired every single one of them back.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
When I worked at John Deere, if that place burnt down, I'd be running. You know, it says a lot about the spot because for me, for somebody, I mean, I'm exaggerating. Obviously, that would not be a good thing for everybody. But, you know, at the end of the day, though, there's times you leave work, you're like, wish this motherfucker burned down, you know, but that says a lot about but you wonder, you know, why I feel the way I do is, you know, because when you're part of a team, right, and in that team, you know, we kept going to the Super Bowl. Right? Yeah. We think of how well Thompson Center did was we came out of the ashes like the Phoenix, right? Yeah, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do? And we're like, we're going to go build an interchangeable Magnum muzzleloader that is centerfire compatible, still can be converted to a handgun. Oh, and by the way, if you want to go chase turkeys or shoot slug gun in the Midwest, you can. It's like, bam. It's like that was, that's insane. Right? I mean, that's what came out of the ashes with the Encore. Yeah. See, I didn't know about the fire. Obviously, I was young then, so I wouldn't.
That's one thing I didn't know about it. I guess I didn't know about the fire either. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah.
In 98?
98.
So I was 8 in 98.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't know about it. But all I ever remembered of Thompson Center is how bad I wanted one. My dad and I wanted one. And just like, oh, Thompson Center. Like, it's just, it was the shit.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was the shit from, I mean, watching hunting videos and watch people have their TC and all that.
Bone Collectors, they had Thompson Centers for the longest time too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I have that Triumph I have is a Bone Collector Triumph, I think.
Yeah. In fact, the day before the announcement, you know, which obviously we just made the announcement about about the acquisition, I called Waddell. Because he was such an integral part, and he loved Thompson Center, right? And as well as, you know, Nick and T-Bone and the whole clan.
For sure.
And so I'm like, hey, Michael, you're going to like tomorrow's announcement. And he, you know, he was amazed. He was like, thank goodness. He said, whatever I can do. He said, I just want to see it come back. That's been the sentiment from everybody.
Yeah.
It's just let's bring it back. And I think part of it is because it's Americana.
For sure.
It is. It very much is. Like, Thompson Center's always had, apart from the muzzleloaders, because the muzzleloaders were very, I don't know if commercial is the right term, but they're very, very popular. But like, when it came to the Encore and the Contender handguns, like they had a very like cult following behind all of them. So it's like, it's a very tight-knit deal with Thompson Center. Yeah, there it is.
Got props.
So the Wayback Time Machine.
If that's a Contender, I'm gonna shit my pants.
Oh no! This isn't just. This is one of the original.
Oh my gosh!
One of the original Contenders, right there.
Oh my god, dude!
So 1965. So most people may or may not know Thompson Center are two guys' names.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So you had Ken Thompson and Warren Center. So Warren Center's working for H&R, Harrington and Richardson in Massachusetts. And so he's in charge of R&D over there. And, you know, they're focused on long guns. So in his basement, he's tinkering with how to build an interchangeable single-shot handgun.
Yeah.
Finally figures it out, goes to H&R and says, hey, do you guys want to build this? You want to bring it to market? And they go, no, that's really not our brand. But he loved it. He was so passionate about it. So the receiver and the trigger guard and a lot of the other components here, these are investment castings. Okay, so he knew he needed to find a foundry to make the parts. So he finds this small little foundry up in Rochester, New York, owned by Ken Thompson, called KW Thompson Tool, and so they form a relationship. And Ken's like, yeah, I'll make parts for you. But, you know, like, what are you going to do with the parts after that? Well, you know, I'll build a few of my basements. I get a couple buddies. Well, I've got a factory here. Why don't we just build a gun company? Now you gotta remember
that's so American. First of all, that's America in a nutshell.
Right?
Like, why don't we just start a fucking gun company?
Right? Exactly.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that's the era also of Bill Ruger, right?
Yep.
And he's in New Hampshire as well. So that's just the that entrepreneurial spirit and the New England mentality. So
what year was that roughly?
So 67 is when the Contender came out.
That's crazy.
He's been tinkering it since 65, you said, or
65 is when he is tinkering before that.
Yeah, okay.
So 65 is when he perfected the gun, and he and Ken Thompson formed the alliance. So then it took 2 years to go into manufacturing, develop it. But this is 45 410.
Yeah.
And
the OG, dude.
Right.
You could kill a turkey with that thing.
Not a 410 in Illinois.
No. I'll take that to Iowa and shoot a fucking turkey with it then.
So there's the 223 barrel.
Oh my god.
Right. Still the old TC scope on it.
Sweet.
Right. Muzzle brake. So, but the whole idea is there's your interchangeable platform. So this came out. So modernized handgun hunting, target shooting. And just became iconic from the day it came out. So then in 1970, they're like, hey, we need to diversify. What are we going to do? So they build a Hawken muzzleloader. Bring it to marketplace. They sell a few. It's a gorgeous gun. They sell it as a kit, sell it finished. Well, so that was 1970. In 1972, what movie comes out?
Oh, I'm bad at movies. I don't know.
Oh, well, you're still young. You were, you're still in
I'm not
diapers.
a movie guy. I'm the worst.
72. Oh, yes. I remember
Jeremiah
that.
Johnson with Robert Redford.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
I do have that movie at the studio. I just didn't know.
Do you? Okay,
Yeah.
well, you're going to have to watch it
Frontierman.
because so the TC Hawken is in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
okay.
sweet.
I'm
Okay.
invested now.
Right. With Hatchet Jack, and he dies, and his guns wrapped around his fingers, and his pride. Whatever man finds me dead, I bequeath this gun to him. So Redford gets the gun, right, and goes.
Was that planned? Like, did Thompson Center?
No.
Like, did they get approached by the?
No.
They just had the gun.
No.
So they're fucking sitting at home watching. Like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
I know that gun.
No way.
Exactly.
What
That
did that
is
movie do
badass.
for Thompson Center? It had to just.
It launched. It put them on the map.
Yeah.
On the map, right? Because now that everybody wanted one, they wanted to build a kit, they wanted to hang it above their mantle.
Yeah.
So it's funny how things happen in life at the right times.
For sure, yeah.
And that launched that. And then they said, well, we should just develop a sport around this. So they started lobbying with the states. So Thompson Center started going state by state by state. And that's why we have the special muzzleloading opportunities to hunt with around the country.
I was going to say, because Thompson Center, they were very integral with the muzzleloading community and bringing that into the mainstream when it comes to hunting.
Absolutely.
I remember I was reading back on Thompson Center like not too long ago, actually. They're like wildly integral. Like, if it wasn't for Thompson Center coming out with like a new muzzleloader like that, or get the popularity that they did, then we wouldn't know muzzleloading the way we do today.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
See, I didn't know all that.
It's insane.
Yeah. So but yes, why am I attached to it, and why is it iconic to so many people? I mean, it's a part of history. I mean, they're and that will always live there. And then, of course, when the company got shut down, at the end of 2021, everybody just felt like this in the community, like we felt the community lost something.
Before we get there, do you want to? I kind of want to go to when Thompson Center sold to Smith and Wesson.
Sure.
Like, I guess my question is, why? Was it Smith and Wesson wanted Thompson Center really bad, and they approached Thompson Center?
They did. So
okay.
So Smith and Wesson came to Thompson Center was known for making incredible barrels, right? Highly accurate barrels, great finishes on them. So Smith and Wesson came to Thompson Center and said, "Hey, we're getting into the long gun space." Right. In fact, at that time, they were working on a bolt action gun, and they were starting to work on their AR platform and say, "Will you make barrels for us?" We're like, "Absolutely." So they come in, they start seeing how we make barrels, they start looking at the quality, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is incredible." And then Smith was in a great cash position, and they're like, "Well, why don't we just buy the company?" So they ended up buying the company because they really wanted the barrel manufacturing capabilities, and in the back
for Smith's own stuff as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Correct. Exactly.
Gotcha.
They had none of that technology.
Mm-hmm. So they were just farming it out to other companies, and you get
that's surprising they wouldn't have that already. Yeah. To me,
dude,
but you remember though, they're making handguns.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, true.
Right.
True.
So they're
Revolvers
diversifying into long guns, and then at the time, the strategy was, hey, we can diversify into hunting at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And unfortunately, so I spent 2 years at Smith and Wesson as president of their hunting division. So I helped launch all of their long guns. Mm-hmm. And then when my contract came up, they said, hey, we'd love for you to stay, but you're part of the executive team. You got to move to Springfield, right? My kids are young at the time, and I love New Hampshire. And I'm like, all the credit to the people who can run a publicly held company is challenging. Mm-hmm. It's tough. There's so many people to please. You got to be on your game for numbers. You got to turn your inventory. You got to drive innovation. I mean, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And they were 350 million at the time.
Dude.
So in 2021 they hit $1 billion.
Jeez.
Whoa.
Right, making 1 million guns. So I mean, they're very, very successful. Mm-hmm. But that's not Thompson Center. That's not the DNA of TC. Yep. The DNA of TC is privately owned, family, taking care of your workers. Like there's a pride that gets put into every single gun. Because it's not mass produced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
For sure.
And some companies are just never meant to be mass produced. Mm-hmm. And I think, when those two came together, it just didn't work. So when I left, they ended up closing the facility down in Rochester in 2010. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that was the cliff, right? Because now you lost the culture. I think like 3 people from TC went to Smith and Wesson.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah,
all
the rest
loyalty,
right? All the rest pretty much went to SIG.
No kidding.
Hey, not a bad transition though.
No, not at all. I mean,
SIG's making some good shit too.
They're making some fantastic product. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was so unfortunately at that point the cultures didn't really mesh, and of course remember the COVID years come, right? And then the whole fear of we need more handguns, self protection. So and I give them credit from a business standpoint. They made the right business decision, which was we have a larger back order for handguns. We have a fiduciary responsibility as stockholders, right? You can't blame them.
They got awkward for them,
right? It got awkward for them, right?
It got awkward for everybody at that time.
But like you said, publicly traded company, you have a lot of people you got to please.
Correct.
Yeah.
They do. So I think they made the right business decision, just not the right decision for the brand. Mm-hmm. But to their credit, they were willing to divest themselves of this and let it come full circle.
So so I'm glad you went into that. So when Smith and Wesson shut it down, was it just like we're shutting it down and it's never going to be revived, or after they shut it down, did they like approach potential buyers?
They put the word out. I wouldn't say that they didn't actively try to sell it.
Okay.
I think they were focused on their own business. I mean, they talked to people for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they basically said was, we converted the equipment and the people to Smith and Wesson products. So it's an intellectual property sale. Like there's no assets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So unless you know how to build this, right, you're buying a piece of paper.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it became tough for people to evaluate.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. I can see that. And I'm curious, okay, like when they did that, part of you was like, shit, I bet.
Oh, I died.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because obviously, so even when, when I started Wildcom and I left as president over there of the hunting division, I was still an ambassador, still had my TV show, I was still an influencer for them. I was still connected to the brand.
For sure, yeah.
But then when they decided, hey, we're going to shut it down, well, then, obviously everybody got let go.
Yeah.
And, it's just, you couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Because it was bad enough when they moved the plant and all those people in Rochester lost their job. Like that killed me. Like they were my family. Mm-hmm. It's like,
well, and you were there when everyone showed up to work to raise the phoenix from the ashes, So, and when they all got basically the axe, either come over here or be gone.
Right.
Like, that does suck. That would really suck to see.
Yeah. That hurt. And, and then obviously when they shut it down, it felt like the stake through the chest. Mm-hmm. And obviously there were several people who approached me, mainly private equity, who said, hey, listen, you want to, I'll fund you. You want to go back and restart it? Let's buy it again. Let's revive it. And I had told myself, unless it's family owned, not interested in selling, not private equity, not public money, not trying to flip something.
Yeah.
I said, I'm good.
It's got to have the same base, the same foundation to it, know?
Right.
Otherwise it won't be Thompson Center.
No. And then just randomly, so this is part of the story a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
So randomly I get a call. In fact, I was in the cabin when I got the call. And so Glenn Butcher calls me, which his name probably doesn't mean anything to many people unless you live in Wabash, Indiana. He runs a very, very successful sporting goods store called Bass and Bucks. So I've known Glenn for 25 years, right? Because he was a top-notch TC dealer. Like he carried everything, sold everything, could repair the guns, because he had the same ethos on retailing as we did for manufacturing. Family owns, his kids were in the business, take care of the customer.
Right.
And so he was a great dealer for us. He calls me up and says, would you ever be interested in, putting a group together to go buy TC back? And I'm like, boy, Glenn, probably not.
How long ago was this?
Last November.
Okay. Pretty damn recent. Yeah,
Pretty recent. I'm
glad you asked that.
I'm like, I don't know. And I told him the same thing. I said, it would have to be family. He said, absolutely. So I wouldn't be calling you if I didn't think it was going to be, because he said, I want to see something that goes to my kids. I want to see this legacy come back. This isn't a financial play. And so he said, I've got a really close friend of mine, and they're into precision machining, big company. They got 4 plants in the United States. They got defense contracts. They got medical. They work with John Deere and Caterpillar. And so they got all the technology to make the parts, but they don't know anything about guns or the marketplace. So obviously, I think it could be a perfect marriage. And I'm like, well, Glenn, I trust you. Like if that's how you feel, it's worth a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And before I'd just be like, no. So literally had the conversation in the bedroom in the cabin, like literally standing in the bedroom in the cabin, because, it's like the only private place here.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm thinking, man, I need to be on a deer stand right now.
It's November.
Like, November.
And but everything clicked. It was like, you ever just know when something is absolutely right.
Oh yeah.
And so then I agreed to meet with him, flew out to Wabash, and I'm like, okay, this is everything it could be. So you pray a lot, and you're like, okay, if it's gonna work out, it's gonna be that way. And then so I call up Mark Smith, and I didn't even know if they were running a process trying to sell. Like, I knew nothing, like zero. In fact, to be honest with you, I called Jason Hornady first.
Yeah.
And said, Jason, I said, do you even know what they're doing with the company? He said, I have no idea. He said, call Mark. And I'm like, well, I was going to, but I was hoping for some inside information. And he's like,
right.
I don't know anything. Like,
before I talk to the man, I need to know what's going on here.
Right. I went a little, right. So he said, call him. So I called him, and Mark said, hey, if you're interested, we'll sign an NDA. We'll have a conversation. I'm not going to promise anything. We'll see where it goes. Maybe, I know if it was the right thing for us and it wasn't complicated. He said, personally, I'd love to see it go full circle.
Oh, okay.
He said, but it also but he said, I got a board of directors. I'm a publicly held company, and it's an asset. An asset sitting on our books.
Complicated.
It's an asset.
Thought.
When it's not doing anything?
Yeah, they still own the trademarks. They still
true.
own the patents.
Right.
They still own the name. They could still revive it.
Touche.
Right?
Yeah.
So at any point, they could plug the machines back in and market. So he said, there's a value to us. He said, so we got to figure out value. And he said, the good thing is, he said, I don't have to explain anything to you.
Yeah.
You've been around the block.
Right. So you don't have to go through. They don't have to make presentations. They don't you don't even have to give me information.
Yeah. Right. You got it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yeah. So that's really how it started. Then at SHOT Show, I said, well, let's meet at SHOT Show and have a conversation, and met face to face. I'm a face to face guy.
Yeah.
Met face to face, and he said, okay, talk to the board. This could make sense to us. And we kind of had a handshake deal on a valuation range, because obviously you still got to look at what patents are current and all this. And all of a sudden he's like, okay, we accept. And I'm like, you did what? Like for real?
At shot?
Wait.
So no, not at shot. Right after shot, because we were like trying to do the dance, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh boy.
So before you left that conversation, did you give him like an offer, or he said we accept like in?
Well, we had you know you have a range because obviously the due diligence you still have to go through, right? Because you got to look at all the trademarks, all the patents. What are you going to do? What data?
Yeah.
So I didn't need any hand holding on what it could become, but you're not buying what it could become. You're buying what it is.
Right.
So we.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
You probably, after shot, am I messing with this too much? My bad.
There you go.
After shot, I don't have my headset on.
I know.
After shot, were you like, oh shit, this is going to happen? Or were you like still like, hopefully
No. Then the problem is when I lock onto something, it's like pulling that trail camera picture, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that 180's on there. I mean, not to be digging at old wounds.
Okay. I hear you,
Greg. And you're like, okay, like I'm going to hunt this specific deer.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So it's like the what occupied my brain was figuring out how do we get this done?
Yeah, you had a mission.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, every waking moment is, okay, what guns you bring out? What time? What are we going to need? All the things to run a business, because you're buying a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
You're not buying a running company.
Right.
It's not like I bought a gas station, right? And I walk in and there's cash flow and there's people and there's an ERP. There's nothing, right? Because it was their system, it's their company, and because the other facility was closed down.
Yeah.
So but there's so many things that had to come together for it to make sense and to work. Like my previous director of engineering, like I knew that his name's Carl Ricker, if you can pull out the patents, his name's on the majority of the patents. He and I have worked on so many gun designs. Unfortunately, the guy he worked with, Mark Laney, who's one of the best gun designers this industry's ever seen, he just passed away, in the last year from brain cancer. It's really sad because those two were like the dynamic duo. I mean, they could design anything, anything. I mean, I remember on Speed Breach. So remember all the breech plugs, you'd have to take the socket wrench and unscrew it, 11 times going round and round and round.
Yeah.
And I remember, we were on a hunt together and I said, I'm looking at everybody clean the muzzle loaders. And I'm like, I come back and I'm like, Mark and Carl, I'm like, we got to do better. And like, we got to get the breech plug out faster. And they're like, well, it's got to be safe, got to do this. And so they show me a design in a few months, and I'm like, no, I want it to come out like a door handle. And they're like, what do you mean? If you grab a knob, I don't spin the knob 11 times and go out the door, right? Yeah, right? I turn it 90 degrees and I pull the door.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I don't know. And that was their little shtick, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, it can't be done. Maybe have to research it, right?
Yeah.
And then in the back of their mind, the mad scientists come out. And then it wasn't that long, maybe 3-4 weeks later, hey, what are you doing? Okay, come on over to we call it the chapel.
Yeah.
Right? The chapel's where the gun designs were all done. I come over there and I'm like, hey, turn that breech plug. And I'd turn it and it stops. And he's like, you're done. I'm like, what do you mean I'm done? Like, I'm trying to. No, he said 90 degrees, pull it out. That's what you want.
Give me some channel locks.
Right.
Yeah. No shit.
Boom, it comes out. So, but that's just, but I needed to have somebody who had the experience of making the guns, because it's one thing to get prints. Okay. So, Smith gives you the prints of the gun, but that doesn't tell you how to make it.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like IKEA.
And there's intellectual, there's tribal knowledge on how to make it good. And if I couldn't make it as good or better, I didn't want to be part of it. And
because then you're getting stuck in this old Thompson Center, new Thompson Center game, and that sucks.
Right.
Well, and with a company like Thompson Center, when it has such a cult-like following, dude,
the Speed Breach thing brought me back to my childhood, because I remember my dad. Well, I don't know what year that came out. I know I was young, and I remember my dad. We went from another muzzleloader brand to this muzzleloader brand. I remember my dad just sitting in our basement, check this shit out, and I just remember I remember that vividly, and that's a memory I forgot I had really until you said that. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that when that came out, the early 2000s, right?
Correct.
So yeah, I would have been, I don't know, young, but yeah. So it's that brings Thompson Center is part of my hunting upbringing to a point, as far as in the culture that I looked up to and was brought up in.
Well, didn't you kill? Was it your first deer with muzzleloader, or was it later than that?
I killed my first deer with a bow. I've never killed a deer with a shotgun.
No, but you killed one with a muzzleloader.
Yeah, I've killed a lot of deer with Thompson Center. A lot. I've never killed a deer with a slug gun ever.
Yeah.
Just because we've been muzzleloader.
Yeah, so many people hunting the Midwest states with a muzzleloader instead of a slug gun.
Yeah,
and they were more accurate. Let's face it,
by far.
I just couldn't hit anything with a shotgun.
You had one shot and they're slow as hell to reload. But when I know a lot of guys that use muzzleloaders during gun season in Iowa too, just because they're like, well, if I am taking my time and taking a good shot, then I should only need one shot, and they're way more accurate than a fucking old Mossberg 500.
Well, all right. One thing, I don't want to skim over this, and I'm also not going to grill you and ask you because it's nobody's business, and maybe it's public knowledge. But like, was there a lot of negotiating that went in, like on price? And you're like, because I don't want to ask you how much you spent, but people are going to be like, how come you didn't ask him how much you spent on it? So whether you want to answer or not, it's up to you, and I don't blame you if you don't.
Those questions
but I got to say that to kind of be a dick. And but it's like, how does that negotiation process? Like, I know there's like the legalities of the patents, all that stuff that you said, but it's like, no, we need this. Oh, I can do this. Well, now, okay. Like, how long a process was that?
Like buying a used car.
How you haggling? Or?
It would be. The fun part for me, when I say fun, I enjoy the process, and I was dealing with a professional on the other side,
right?
With Mark Smith and his team, because they're publicly held, they're really bright people, and they've got teams of people, right? They got floors of lawyers, right. But every one of them cared, like they honestly wanted the best for the brand, and obviously they wanted the best for their company, but so. It was a very much an open dialogue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And again, I was able to, when I said, hey, here's the range based off of the due diligence, that we didn't have to negotiate the ranges. I know what the value was.
Yeah. Your situation's way different than most.
Right. Because if it was a Ruger coming in or a Savage, now you're having to look at all of this stuff and go, okay, how many years left on this patent? What can I do over here? Okay, what's the tooling going to take to build the Encore? Okay, well, we got to add another year because we don't know how to make it. It's like the Encore is going to be out, guys, by January of next year.
I love that, dude. That's we were going to get to that.
So I mean, and right now there's like nothing. There's no tooling. There's no equipment. There's no nothing. Like we're starting like the fire, right?
Yeah.
So I'm approaching this as, from the bottom and build it up.
Dude, that's awesome, dude.
But the biggest thing though that I have to build, I'll be honest with you, is the culture.
Yeah.
And so the guns are the easy part. Because what TC had, and again, I give Warren Center and Ken Thompson and Bob Gustafson and the plant manager at the time, Ken French, they built the culture. You can do anything with great people. You truly can. You can beat any timeline. You can come up with the most clever design, but you got to. So now it's like hand picking these. That's why I needed Carl, because he's part of the old culture. Right. And then we're able to find another engineer, and then our director of operations, he's supporting us. So I'm putting these pieces back because now as we hire other people, we can now define what that culture is. They're hunters, they're shooters, they care, and they want to build a legacy. So I'm going to give you guys a great example of this. And this true story just happened. So Glenn, because he helped bring everyone together, he's part owner of the business. Okay. And, so I did the live last Saturday. Okay. And so anyway, he calls me up at the end of the day and he goes, I got the greatest story to tell you. I'm like, okay, Glenn. Like we talk almost every day anyway.
Yeah.
And so he said, I had a guy walk in my store today and he said, hey, is Glenn around? And so Glenn, one of the workers Glenn comes, guy's 69 years old. And he had, dressed, fairly nice, shirt tucked in, 69, proud. Yeah. And he puts out his hand, introduces himself, and he says, I'd like to be your janitor. And Glenn goes, well, I don't know that we're looking for a janitor just yet. Because remember, this is in his retail store. Yeah. He goes, no, of Thompson Center. And Glenn goes, excuse me? He said, yeah, I watched the live. I've owned Thompson Center guns. He said, I have almost every one they've ever made. I'm so proud of this brand. The fact that it's coming to, potentially coming to Indiana. I want to work in that facility.
That's cool.
And Glenn's like, would you mind me asking how old you are? He says 69. He said, but I can outwork any of those young kids.
No kidding.
But I mean, that's who you want to hire.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be on the team.
He lives the culture of it.
He does. And
Yeah.
I want my fingerprint on the next firearm going out because I'm proud of that. So they're the ones that you want to hire.
Yep.
For sure. Dude, I think,
That's badass.
I mean, the mindset's perfect for it. I was reading through the comments on the announcement on social, and everyone is stoked about it. And it's, why? How could you? This is all good. This is all good stuff.
But
Yeah.
but it's great for the industry.
Yeah.
Because the industry is I think coming full circle. Hopefully the country's coming full circle.
Let's hope.
We'll see.
It could
Hopefully.
be.
It could be, but
I'm holding on to hope.
I know.
Yeah, you got
Like
to.
Obama.
I'm hope. Okay. Right. Illinois, state of Illinois. We're hopeful.
The industry 15 years ago, we didn't see a lot of private equity. We didn't see a lot of the publicly held companies buy up a lot of these other companies. And it's not to say they did them a disservice, but we lost the entrepreneurial spirit. So when all these brands become a conglomerate, right? And again, I think they're still well run. You can still buy their products today, right?
Yeah.
These products are still good,
Yeah.
right? But think about what one person can do to a company. And I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, Grizzly.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Okay? Grizzly coolers.
it's a great example.
Right?
I know right where you're
I know
going.
you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
right? Privately owned, right? Make phenomenal products, right? But somewhere they had the missing link, and the missing link was Jeremy,
Dude.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was because it was his energy and his drive that brought the innovation, right? Brought the industry together, and look what they've accomplished in
A year.
a year.
Oh my gosh, they're
Dude, we
killing
talked
it.
1 year at ATA talking to Jeremy, and Jeremy and Isaac are awesome. He's like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And it's like, well, yeah, probably. And then next year ATA, he's like, what's up? I'm like, hey, you did everything you said you're going to
Yeah.
do.
I know.
It's crazy.
But I
It's
mean,
a good
the
example.
new Alpha Blind comes out. We were just talking, and he said, "Hey, when we get one, Isaac and I, we'll drive from Iowa. We're bringing it out to your farm. We'll help set it up." And I'm thinking,
Okay.
maybe I'll get it, right? And then, be nice if you at least call me when I get it. Oh no, he's like, "Hey, when are you gonna be in Illinois?" Well, I'll be there, whatever, July 24th or whatever it was. Okay, Isaac and I will be there. I mean, they came here, they built it, we put it out together, and I'm like, because they live the lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. I say that in my intros quite a bit whenever I'm, because
Grizzly's
work
a partner
with
of
Grizzly.
us, yeah.
And it's just they're great people behind a great brand, and that's a really special thing. And in Iowa, I know it's the local home state of Grizzly and everything, but it's like everywhere I go walking around, they did such a good job, like kind of tailoring their product to the home state too. Like personalized, like Iowa Hawkeye, drinkware, and all that stuff. Like everyone in our area uses Grizzly
Well,
stuff.
they
That's
have
awesome.
They have the life. They bring the soul. Really, probably is a better way to put it. They bring the soul to the brand. Where it's like, here's a good example, and I don't want to say sad example. Like we're Scent Crusher. Dan Drake is a great dude, and we were partner with Scent Crusher. And Scent Crusher had that motivated like soul to it. And then when it got bought out by, I don't know, Faradyne or GSM, whoever bought them, I don't remember. It's still around and still a good product, but the soul left it, and you could feel it. And then it was apparent, like publicly, that there was no soul to the brand anymore.
That's kind of happening in the hunting industry a lot. Like someone comes out with a really good product, they do really good things with it, and then some big conglomerate buys them up, and
it's kind of the
pays them a
American
bunch of
dream
money.
to like build it up to something where you can do that
to an
but
extent. But at the same time, it's like
it's a bummer though.
Yeah, it's nice, like you were saying, coming full circle in the industry where there's these private, I guess, companies or people wanting to strive and build something a little bit smaller, more personal, I guess. And that's a beautiful thing.
Go down,
Soulful.
right? Go down the
Yeah.
list, big time, right? You got Joe and Jackson over there.
Yeah.
You got Matthews, right? You got Matt McPherson. His brother Steve. The whole group over there. Reconics. You got TJ, Montana Knife Company. You got Josh, right? I mean, we can list all the privately held companies where the management team or the ownership team, they care.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're the soul. And I think seeing that come back around. So when people say, "What are you going to do with the company?" Because obviously I get so many questions right now. I'm going to build the culture back.
Yeah.
Put the soul back in the company. They're like, "What are you going to make?" I'm like, it doesn't matter what I'm going to make, because the people are going to make it.
Yeah.
And today with social media and with podcasts now and with YouTube, like, we can communicate with people. So we can listen to them. We don't have to worry about, well, what's the rationalization? Can we build 20,000 of them?
Right.
I don't know.
You mean that Thompson Center wasn't on MySpace in the early 2000s?
Right.
Yeah.
So
have
now
a fortunate son playing their landing page.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, they're in their top 8. But
Yeah.
that's so true. We talked about that a little before. It's like, marketing's as easy as it's ever been now.
Well, easy, but difficult all at the same time. When it comes to, like,
it's different.
Well, when you're talking like social media and stuff, like, it's a blessing and a curse, especially when you're talking about firearms.
True.
It's like, because I'm figuring that out. It didn't take too long for to kind of see some. What I'm trying to say is there's some bias behind the scenes of social media and stuff, especially when it comes to, like, firearms.
Really?
So
you think so?
I've heard stories.
Okay,
I've heard some stories.
Yeah,
but with Thompson Center and you personally and everything else, though, it's like, that's huge. Like, it's like, I don't know, just that Thompson Center already had that really tight knit community built behind it before, and they've been. I've been on the forums, like, after Kurt asked me to come down here with him and podcast with you. I'm like, okay, let me check out fucking Thompson Center here real quick. I'm looking at all the forums and everything else, and there's so many people, even like as recent as like just a couple of months ago, they're like, oh yeah, well, I know of this gunsmith that's putting out barrels like that'll fit with the Encore and stuff, so they're still alive. Don't worry, there's people out there like doing it privately that's keeping this thing alive.
You correct, and you make a great point that all of these gunsmiths and cottage industries tried to keep the brand alive. Like they were trying to prop it up.
That's crazy
because they believed in it so much.
Right. Correct. Right. That how could we make breech plugs? Could we make magazines? Or barrels or hinge pins or whatever. How can we just keep this thing going?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that's huge. Like, to have, because all those people are going to just be shouting from the rooftops. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
Dude, it's exciting. Honestly, I can't believe we're talking about this.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Like, but if this could be the tipping point for the industry now, where more entrepreneurs come full circle, the industry starts to turn, and again, all the other, there's going to be thousands of jobs created. Okay, because now there are none. Okay, I'm one. Okay, now Carl started. He starts Monday, so it'll be 2 as of Monday.
Right. Well, this will launch Thursday, so if you get another guy by then okay, that's hilarious.
But we do this a year from now, right? There's going to be hundreds. Between us and suppliers and everybody else. So this engine starts to turn. But so I'll give you guys a really cool story. Okay, and it dawned on me the other day. So really good friend of mine, Joe Gallant, we share an office together. He's a phenomenal wealth manager, and he comes out here and hunts. He's got some land in Illinois as well. And so he said, hey, a buddy of mine who hunts with us as well, he's looking for a handgun scope. What do you recommend? I said, buy Leupold, trust me, because he's putting it on an old Contender.
Yeah.
And I said, trust me, if he's, I guess he was shooting an Encore handgun, I think in 708. If he's shooting that big handgun, he needs a good scope. It's not going to shake it off. Go buy one from Leupold.
Yeah.
And so he looks, pop. So anyway, he comes over to my house. We were shooting bows. He goes, hey, by the way, what's your second best choice? Where do you have an old Leupold? I'm like, well, just buy it. And he goes, they don't make them. I'm like, what? So I pull up my computer and I go on there. No handgun scopes. They're not selling them anymore.
No.
So I'm like, that's strange. So I go researching. So they discontinued their handgun scopes a year after Thompson Center, or Smith and Wesson stopped making Thompson Center guns.
Correlation.
Thompson Center was driving the handgun hunting marketplace. So think about this. So ammunition, scopes, rings, bases, cases, slings, accessories, not only from the cottage industry, but the whole industry. Like, think of how many hundreds of millions of dollars will be created.
Wow.
Well, and
I never thought about that.
on the market right now,
right? Because that's what starts the domino effect. The weapon starts the domino effect, whether it's a bow,
right,
or a gun, right?
Well, scope doesn't do you much good if you don't have anything to put it on. So
correct.
Yeah, but like with handgun hunting, it's always been a very niche community, especially. But I mean, Thompson Center Encores were like the backbone of that handgunning community. Because now when you're talking about especially when you're talking rifle calibers in a handgun,
right?
The only people really making those anymore are custom manufacturers, really.
You know who I think of? I'm drawing a blank on his. Well, I just can't say his last name. There's a guy from Texas, Larry.
Larry Weishuhn.
I can say his last name.
Yep.
He was a big Thompson Center guy, right?
Huge.
And I think that's what I think of handgun hunting. I think of that guy with the hat and everything, like classic Kurt childhood TV personality.
This is really, and for me personally, this is a pretty huge announcement just for me because I've been getting really into handguns lately.
Oh, okay.
And it's like my new favorite thing. 'Cause I was in the Army for a while. Everyone knows that already. But I spent a lot of time with rifles. And I love shooting rifles and everything else. But after shooting, and we didn't do a whole lot of handgun shooting. And after shooting, my wife, she's a deputy in our county and stuff, and trying to teach her how to use a handgun and everything else, and just all that stuff. I'm like, I love shooting handguns, and I'm like, I really want to get into handgun hunting. And then I'm looking at Smith and Wesson's 686s and just the revolvers, because that's really, if you're a handgun hunter, that's really all you're using right now is just a large frame revolver. So to have something like this come back, it's like, that's pretty exciting, just for me personally.
We're back, baby.
I know. I'm fucking excited.
Oh, so here's another movie trivia for you. If you didn't know this,
I'm bad. I haven't watched a movie, and
this was more in your era. Do you know the whole John Wick franchise? You don't know the John Wick franchise with Keanu Reeves?
I just rewatched all of them not that long ago.
Doug and Eric absolutely hate me because they can't make movie references and stuff to me. I don't know.
You gotta watch John Wick.
I'm not homeschooled, I swear. I swear I'm not, but it seems like it right now pretty strong.
So John Wick 4.
Yep.
Okay. The last one of the series, right? And he dies in it, by the way. So I give up.
I can't watch it now.
But you do you know what killed John Wick?
Thompson Center.
With the wood, they had the wood furniture.
So he and the bad guy, I forget what his name, had the dueling match.
Yeah.
At the end, and they were shooting encore pistols.
That's perfect for you to bring it back. Like, hey, you remember what killed John?
So maybe I'll get a chance to meet Keanu Reeves one day. I think he's a fantastic
actor. He's like a fat motorcycle fabricator now, isn't he? He might be into that.
Keanu Reeves,
isn't he?
He's not fat.
No, motorcycle fabricator.
Oh, I thought you called him a fat motorcycle fabricator. I'm like, dude, he's not fat, bro.
No, I'm saying that might be something he'd actually be into. Like Jesse James makes custom 1911 pistols.
I know he's really into bikes. I didn't know that. I don't know if he's a fabricator or not.
Oh, I thought he was into doing that. But yeah,
maybe.
I
haven't talked to him lately.
Be something. I mean, there's a lot you can do. It's exciting, but I think we should flat out ask Gregg. Okay, you talked about it's just for monkey brains like me, what you want to do with the platform, but what other things are in the list of these are the firearms or muzzleloaders that are coming back, or any new ideas that you can tease?
I'll
you can't give it all away.
So first of all, what I said is, with the ability to have social media, so you can go on right now on social media, and if you DM us your ideas or your comments, it may take us a few days to get back to you, but we're going to respond.
Nice.
Right? We're going to listen. We're going to respond. And so right now, the first thing that people are saying is we need breech plugs and magazines. Mm-hmm. Okay? We want our guns operable for the fall, so we're focusing on that. We know we got to get some accessories out, but then the Encore barrels will be the next.
Okay.
But in those, the whole straight wall craze that has been, the 300 Blackout, the 350 Legend, the 400 Legend that's come out, the 450 Bushmaster, 360 Buckhammer, right? Mm-hmm. All of those we're trying to have chamber in the Encore for this fall.
Badass.
So I am so laser focused at getting Encore barrels out into the marketplace, but do it in the new caliber. So that's going to be this fall. Okay. So then there are other teases, and by I'm hoping June of next year is all carbon fiber barrels.
Ooh.
For the Encore, including handgun.
Ooh. I like where your head's at there.
Yeah.
Greg.
And obviously they're going to be threaded for suppressors and brakes.
Have to be.
I mean, right where we're going.
Won't get them in Illinois, but I'll just pretend.
Right.
I'll put you on my trust for whatever.
Right. You go to Iowa, right, and shoot them because that platform is just perfect for it. There's so many calibers that in that weird, awkward stage, where it was kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
Came out. So like, okay, we got to play catch up to the world, and what better way than So right. this fall when you're hunting, I just got to make sure that you go get your dad's old Encore, and I'll get you a barrel.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have an Encore. I just have the Triumph muzzleloader.
Oh, okay,
that's all I got. I always drooled over them, but never have one. But I will get one now, and because I got that'll be perfect for me. I have young kids as they grow, and what I mean. It's like a multi tool. It's. Well, it's something I'm going to invest in.
These would be perfect for Illinois because they're single shots. Yeah.
This, I will be honest, that interests me a lot for firearm season.
Dude,
handgun hunting.
Very interested.
That would be...
I've been wanting to do it for a long time.
Handgun saddle hunter, baby. What's up?
Perfect. Especially if they're pink.
It'd be kind of cool, actually, right?
Well, and then the states that you can go rape turkeys with a handgun.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
With a 410.
Yes. That would be awesome.
I'm pretty
Indiana,
sure
you can?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in Iowa you can as long as it's a 410.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, dude. A turkey gun?
Dude. Yeah.
With the Encore,
would be sweet.
I mean, I've already been picking Tyler's brain on if we took the Encore platform and made the ultimate turkey, like what would you want to see? So I'm gonna have him out to the design studio, which is gonna be in New Hampshire when the time's right, and just have him just unload that.
Just like a turkey edition,
right?
Oh man,
dude,
that's exciting.
That's gonna be sweet. That's gonna be badass.
It's cool, really man, because you're so motivated, and it's like it's back and. There's new ideas and new traditions being made now and new upbringings for Jordan's 21,
20-something.
Depending what episode he's on. And, it's like he sees a different perspective of this industry than what I've seen and what you've seen, and for sure what you've seen. You've been inside.
No, but we want to make guns for So my three girls are 17 to 21. Okay, I want to build products for the 18 to 35-year-old.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Like that's the demo. And you know what?
I've got a couple more years.
But if you design a factory that's highly modular, right? That you can do quick changeovers where, okay, maybe Jordan just wants, this special gun and there's only 200 people out there that care to have that gun. Fine, I just gonna make 200 of them. Like as long as you build your factory with the mindset of smaller runs, more specialized.
Versatility.
The versatility. So go build a factory like you build a gun, build it versatile. Yep. And don't worry about, okay, we're going to make 20,000 of X. And maybe you pick a Triumph, that ends up selling 20,000. But I don't go into it thinking that way.
Right. Yeah. That's the best case scenario. You're like, man, we're moving.
Right. If you want to build the perfect gun for a saddle hunter, right? Who wants to be mobile, carry something on a scabbard on his back, right? While he's going up the tree, right? So feet don't hit the ground. Then when he gets to the tree, he pulls the gun. Okay. Is it carbon fiber? What's the barrel length? What caliber do you want? Okay. Go build it.
Man, that would be fun.
That would right? Be fun. You sitting there going up the tree, you get in your saddle, right? And you take, like Everly stock has a fantastic pack.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, you pull the gun out from.
I'm gonna put that bitch in a drop.
See, I'm into that. Dude. I'm not a big gun. I mean, I don't gun hunt a lot, I guess, but I'm all for it. Whatever. But and I don't know why, but bow hunting is my primary interest.
Sure. Really?
You think? But. That style of it during firearm season is fucking cool to me.
Well, and then the other thing. So here's the kind of the hybrid thing, because I'm like you. I love the single shot challenge. So bow's a single shot. Muzzleloader's a single shot. Right. The Encore platform is a single. Like I like the idea that everything's on the line when I pull that trigger or let that arrow go.
Right.
Like that's just I love that mindset.
Your shot counts. Better make the first one hit.
and I think that mindset resonates, with your demo, George's demo, that younger, especially people who are bow hunting, like, I want the challenge, like it's all on the line challenge. Like we're just this is it.
Yeah.
Like that intensity.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of like being mobile.
Yeah.
With hunting with a handgun. Because I can just picture, you're tight range. It'd be fun.
Right.
Like, are you going to put a loophole on there once they start making them again?
Yeah.
For them? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or are you like, nah, run the
irons,
bead
bro.
on it? Yeah.
Well, I tell you this, Ed, if we put a target up and shot offhand at 50 yards, I bet you'd shoot your bow better than you shoot a handgun.
Oh, I bet for sure.
100%.
Most people.
Oh, yeah.
So you just added a complexity that's harder than bow hunting.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing that always interests me about handgun hunting, especially just because it was recently, but I've really been getting into bow hunting and stuff. Obviously, I didn't start bow hunting until 2018, but sure, but I had a little. There's a story behind that, but getting into bow hunting really made me like kind of change my thought process on a lot of ways I've hunted in my past and everything else too. And since I've been starting bow hunting, I'm like, man, you know what? I really want to do something during firearm season because in Iowa, you can't bow hunt during gun season, and I miss gun season. But having a handgun during gun season, that'd be sweet.
That's cool.
That'd be fun.
It's
be a lot of fun, especially if you make one on a 35 Whelen.
We do.
Really?
Well, we did.
Yep.
We'll
okay.
In fact, a funny story about the 35 Whelen, total random. So the freight delivery guy shows up today, right? And so he pulls his truck out, and he doesn't know me from Adam. Okay, so he goes, "Hey, you said, do you gun hunt, much on this property?" And I'm like, we hunt a little bit. We mainly bow hunt. We shoot the first, hunt the first 3 days. It's kind of like he's just testing the ground because he want to talk about hunting.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, how was your season? He's just gun hunts, but he gun hunts with a 35 Whelen Thompson Center Contender.
Nice.
Like,
awesome.
how random is that? The guy who pulls in a driveway and he's just talking about, man, I hope that company comes back because I really wanted to buy a stock now that I can, hunt with the long gun. I'll just get a longer barrel and use the same frame. And I'm sitting here going, well, yeah, there's a pretty good chance.
Did you tell him?
Huh? I didn't tell him who I was.
Oh, come on, dude. No. You don't know who I am? I own that company. It's coming back.
A little birdie told me
I just said, hey, the word's out on the street. TC's back. And
he's going to shit when he connects those dots.
No
he's going to be like, oh.
Yeah, he's going to see you like announcing. He's like, what the fuck? Dude, I just gave that dude some boxes, man. This is crazy.
That's hilarious.
That is funny.
Yeah, he will realize eventually he's going to have like a connect the dot moment. He's going
I will tell you, the 35 Whelen is getting pretty popular in Iowa just because the straight wall cartridge law got passed, but then the DNR or the state decided, like, I don't know if it was confusing to some people because there's some, some intricacies with straight wall cartridges and like the 45-70, if that's even a straight wall, because it's technically kind of tapered or whatever. Yeah. And so they just made it like, okay, we're just going to do 35 to 50.
Yeah.
So that's the law. So you can have tapered cartridges in Iowa.
Right. It has to just be in that range.
It has to be within that caliber range. So the 35 Whelen in Iowa is starting to make a kind of an underground resurgence. Like a lot of people are looking at that cartridge and being like, this fucking rules.
Can I ask a very ignorant question? And the question might not even make sense. That's how removed I am from rifles and straight walls.
Of course.
So I don't know. I don't do it in Illinois. Obviously, I don't know what is legal. I don't straight wall, but I don't know any of the calibers. Like, okay, so take me, I'm coming to you guys. I'm like, hey, I want to get in the straight wall game. What caliber should I look at and why?
So it varies by state, right? Just like you were talking about. So in Illinois, they actually call out every caliber.
Oh, okay.
So they make it easy. They don't put generalities that if it's this caliber or if it doesn't bottleneck down, they say, hey, this is legal, this is legal, this is
this.
That's the way you have to do it almost, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
And Iowa did that, but at the very end, they said, does not include all. It's like they listed a lot of the popular ones out, but then they're like, but it doesn't include all of them. So use your best judgment kind of thing. It's like, what?
I would say I'd probably say the 350 Legend may be the most popular caliber.
That's what I hear the most about, I feel like.
In Illinois. Now the 400 Legend, which are just bringing out right now, the early adopters are raving about it. I personally haven't shot it yet.
It seems like it's going to be a good in-betweener round.
Yeah.
But I think in Iowa, it's 450s. 450s all over the place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, I'm old school, the 45-70.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you can get that.
Nothing's running from it.
Yeah.
Nothing's running from it.
No, I shot one deer with I had a Marlin 1897 GBL, and I shot one doe with it.
Yeah.
Dope. That was badass.
So a lot of these
Good old lever gun.
they can look like they're in an AR platform with their straight wall.
Yep.
Or I guess it could be in whatever platform as long as you're set up for it, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, because there's a bunch of companies that are making, bolt action straight walled cartridge rifles and stuff too, and then single shots. Like I think CVA, they have a bunch of single shot cartridges, rifles out there just to hit that niche as well. And there's a lot of different companies like really putting a lot of stuff out there for the straight walled cartridge community.
Yeah.
But like in Iowa, I know a lot of dudes are running with their AR platforms just because we don't have magazine capacity laws like in Illinois and stuff too. But I mean, 450s are super popular because it's easy, because it's kind of like an Encore. You can just take off the upper, it's 2 pins, slap on a 350, and you're ready to rock.
So in straight wall you don't get the same distance and velocity as like
correct of a bottleneck cartridge.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole idea was behind it, and it's probably the right idea, is you can increase the accuracy without increasing the range compared to a slug gun.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you look at the energy and the effective range of a 12 gauge or 20 gauge slug, it's 150 to 200 yards, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking from an energy perspective, but from an accuracy perspective, it's a 75-yard gun, right? I mean, there's just not that many slug guns that really, really shoot well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I shot a deer with my slug gun at 132 yards one time,
which is long.
That was a poke, but it also had a rifled barrel, so it was a little bit different.
Right.
But I mean, that's a fucking long shot.
Yeah.
If I had like a 300 PRC, it'd be the equivalent of like shooting a deer at like probably, I don't know, like 800 or something like that. It's a poke with a fucking slug gun.
Okay.
Shooting out there past 100. It's kind of a poke for
because
sure.
as primarily just a bow hunter only, like when the straight wall thing came in, I didn't know how to feel about it, partially because to me I was like, I don't know if this is good or not.
The straight wall cartridge,
but I'm ignorant to it as well.
I think personally, I think it's great. I think it's great for the
way you explain it. More accurate is better.
Right. Well, it's the same. The way I look at it, it's like we went from using recurves to compound bows.
Right.
With the straight wall cartridge thing, it's like you're using a compound bow. Why? Because it's more effective. It's more accurate.
I like that analogy.
You can use it. Use the word ethical if you want to. I try to stay away from it just because it varies between person to person what ethical is.
It's a great analogy, though.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
No, and I do like the way Illinois did it and said it was single shot.
Right.
I don't, but
well, you live in Iowa.
I live in Iowa. Right. I'm just I think single shot is great. I just know from personal experience, there's going to be some dudes that maybe they aren't the best shot is all. So, sometimes having an extra round ready to go quickly is better for some people.
Illinois just change the verbiage. Single shot, Thompson Center.
Yeah, right.
Or nothing else.
Yeah. What's funny is like my solo series I started doing, I call it single shot series. So that's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, we have to do a full. So I feel like I'm partially responsible for that series. I pushed you to do that. So basically, I was like,
I brought it up to you, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, dude!"
Yeah, but like deep diving on. Well, it can be anything: calibers, companies. It could be a gun, basically, a model of anything, right?
Anything firearms related. 'Cause what I found out with doing this podcast is I'm getting a lot of people on there, and we're conversations flowing, we're having a good time and everything else. And I realized, like, man, I'm not really pushing out like a lot of really specific gun content. Being the firearms podcast, I'm like, I want to give back to my listeners that want more specific, like detailed gun content. So I started doing something on my own, talking to my wall, I guess. But deep dives into certain calibers and whatever else.
I think that's smart. There's a lot of people have the same question you do on the straight walls.
Yep.
Yeah.
why, what are they? What are the hybrid cartridges that could go, either way? What are the ballistic differences between them two?
Because I'll be honest, when you guys are talking about, sorry, Jacob, but
you're good.
Like guys who listen to this series are gun guys. I love guns are fun, but like when you said 35 Whelen, I've never heard anybody say that ever. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, and what's funny is I actually have really soon I'm going to do an episode just on 35 Whelen because it's like,
Jordan, have you ever heard of a 35 Whelen? Okay.
Damn, dude, it's just a
Hey, Jordan, have you heard of a 30-06?
Yeah, we know that one.
Yeah,
it's in his video game he had.
Yeah, it's just a necked up 30-06. So instead of having a 30 caliber slug in the cartridge, they blew out the cartridge and put a 35 caliber slug in it.
Oh, okay.
So, that's what 35 Whelen is. Is Townsend Wayland? They named it after Townsend Wayland because he's a colonel and he's a super popular shooter and shit and everything else. So I think it was Griffin and Howe and Townsend Wayland got together and made the 35 Whelen.
So right now I do know that like a 6.5 Creedmoor is like a super popular round.
Very popular.
Is that something Thompson Center will dabble in?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we'll have it in the Encore platform this fall.
Yeah. Because why does that round get so much hate? Is it just because it's new?
No.
Do you notice that? Do you feel that way on the internet? I just know from reading on Facebook.
On the Creedmoor?
Yeah, it gets hate.
Well, it's because it's so popular. So anytime anything is popular, then there's got to be people, but
it's not that good.
Right, it's not that good. And, so
it must be pretty damn good.
Well, a really popular thing that people would say is like, yeah, well, it's not that good. And they're like, oh, really? Why? Like, because it's gay. And then that's it. Right. And then oh, wow, okay, well, they just throw that label on and no one wants it. It's like
arguing with Second Amendment liberals. They got no real comeback, just insult you immediately. It's like, all right.
Well, sick, dude. All right, cool. I thought we were going to have a real conversation here, but I guess not, Dude. But a lot of the times it's because guys are so just entrenched in their own mindset on what's effective and what, in a 6.5.
Same thing with arrow weights and broadheads.
Same thing. Mechanicals versus fixed heads. And
the thing that pisses me off about the 6.5 Creedmoor is that the 6.5 PRC does not get that much hate.
No.
But the Creedmoor does. It's just, the PRC is shooting the same size projectile, but you can shoot a little bit heavier weights with a PRC because you're getting more power capacity. But it's like, it's really not like we're splitting hairs a little bit here with when you're talking speeds and velocities and stuff.
I have killed a deer with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah.
With Leupold in Oregon.
There you go.
My first mule deer.
Yeah.
And it killed it.
We killed it dead.
Yeah. Killed it real dead.
I always said the 6.5 Creedmoor is like the perfect deer size game and smaller. Like you can definitely kill elk with it, no problem. People do it all the time, but it is a little bit light for that. That's all.
Yeah.
But,
well, what people should be talking about is bullet construction.
Yes. 100%.
Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a broadhead, right?
Yeah.
If you want a 2-inch, mechanical, do you want to cut on contact? What are you shooting? I'm not going to go shoot a mechanical into a grizzly bear.
Right.
I just wouldn't do that. But would I shoot my mechanical into a mule deer or an elk? 100%. So it's just matching the bullets to it. But people like to pick on cartridges, and they should really be talking about what's the bullet you're using.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I know you some bow hunters might not think it, but you have to put a lot, like if you're a good gun hunter, you have to put a lot of thought behind what you're using on what you're hunting, I guess, It's the same thing. Like you guys put a lot of thought into bow hunting and everything else. So you're really nitpicking what you're doing, and it varies from game to game. It's like you're not going to use your whitetail arrow necessarily on, a Cape buffalo. Right. Two totally different animals,
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I need to sit in on more firearm podcasts. I have a lot of questions that just arise. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But man, this whole thing's exciting, dude. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. And like I said, my motivation in this is to bring an iconic company back to life, rebuild the culture, and then just start the flywheel going in the industry. Like we all seen like that one person or that one company create the tipping point that hopefully in a year from now, 5 years from now, you'd be like, the industry was forced to change, right? Because, when somebody breaks off and does something and then people rally behind it, then everyone is forced to change. And if that drives better customer service, if that drives more inventiveness, if that drives a better way to interact with independent retailers, then great, we all won.
Dude, it's perfect.
Raise the tide, right?
Yes.
And then we all float to the top.
I was just going to say, you're going to have a wave of people behind this are excited that are just, it's the whole thing's just exciting, man. And when I found out, I was like, Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
I appreciate you guys coming down, because I know it's late. You got to come back down in about 3 hours to turkey hunt anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us out, man.
Thank you for having us out. This has been a blast. I'm really glad that you decided to, sit down and divulge all these little, this huge announcement, honestly.
Yeah. Well, hey, you guys are the first.
Yeah,
right. You guys are the first. And,
thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
And I remember that when the announcement was coming out, I texted you the video, and I'm like, hey, I told you some big news was coming. And, and you're like, oh, you're still going to be down here for turkey season, right?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah, because really, you take off tomorrow, and I'm like, shit. I was hoping we were good to hang out for a little longer, but you gave us the key.
Yep,
we'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's plan to have the same podcast a year from now. Yeah, because then because the one thing I am going to do on YouTube and social media, which I don't think has really ever been done on the gun company side, I'm going to show you how we're going to rebuild it.
Ooh,
love that.
The people we hire, the equipment we purchase, when the barrel line gets installed, the gun designs as we do it, the proof testing of the guns, because so many people are afraid to show you the behind the scenes for whatever reason. I get it. Some things can be construed differently.
Yeah.
But to me, is just be transparent with people. And you know what? If something doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well, that's going to get everybody on board.
It.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to feel invested.
Correct.
Because they're like part of the journey with you.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And I want them to feel that I want the fans, the consumers' fingerprint on this.
Yeah. For
so what better way? That's why we're talking on this podcast. Like, you're asking me hard questions and giving you honest answers.
Yeah.
And so
it's exciting.
Yeah. So it's just going to be a different way to approach the marketplace, is just talk to people.
I love it, dude. It's bold too. Yeah. And it's a bold move.
Yeah. Well, but you're all about bold.
It's good. I like bold. You think? My mom cries herself to sleep every night over this neck tattoo. Yeah. Pretty bold. Too bold, some might say.
It's pretty sharp.
No,
thanks. I got an appointment in 2 weeks for the other side of my neck. So
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I don't care if anybody thinks it's cool or not. It's too late.
Yeah, right. People always ask me about tattoos and like, oh, what are you going to look like when you're 80? And it's like, I'm not going to care how I look when I'm 80.
I'll just look like a 80-year-old coloring book.
Yeah.
You know what I have to do? I'll have to kill a deer with a handgun, and then I'll get a Thompson Center tattoo after that.
There we go.
I'll make that deal with you.
There we go.
Wow.
All right.
Where at? Back of your head?
I don't care. Yeah. What does it matter at this point? I'll get it right here. As long as I get free guns, I'll put it on my cheek. We'll make a deal. Yeah. They got to be muzzle loaders, though, because then I'll look like a felon, and then I can't.
Oh, right.
It's a thing. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it. Yeah. Because, felons can't own the handguns.
Yeah, you got to explain the shirt to Greg real quick before we jump off, because the Bowhunters for Felons shirt, I'm sure you've read that and are like, what's the story?
Okay, so it's pretty quick. But when I was a kid, I was watching some outdoor channel and stuff, because we had a cable then, and we had that outdoor channel on there, and I'm seeing everyone kill these big bucks with bow and arrow. And I asked my dad, I'm like, hey Dad, can I get a bow and arrow sometime? So like seeing it on TV and getting kind of interested. And his response was, bow hunting is for felons.
They can't own firearms.
Yeah. And then he walked away. It's like, I'm like, oh, sick. I'm like, all right. And he never bought me a bow, so he stuck to it.
The only thing you had in your head.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. And then we did have a little conversation about it. He's like, no, we like guns. That's what we do. And it's like really only felons bow hunt is kind of what he kept going back to. I'm like, well, I'm not a felon. No, I don't plan on ever being one. So guns.
So we did the shirt for Victory Drive. We have it in the WCB store, and at trade shows, we did, 8 or 9 shows in a row this year. And that shirt was just a crowd.
Yeah.
80% a crowd pleaser. 20% of people were like offended by it.
Yeah.
But we met more felons and cops have bought that shirt than anybody else.
I would say the majority of felons that came to the show ended up buying one. Or at least very supportive of it.
Yeah,
they're like, that's fucking sweet. And I'm like, oh, yeah, are you a felon? They're like, actually, yeah, that's what got me into bow hunting. I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah. I'm like, all right, here you go, buddy. This is what we made you for. So
they bought the hell out of them.
They did.
And so thanks to everybody who bought it. It's hilarious. It's a fun shirt.
It's a fun shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a couple.
Nothing serious.
People get offended, but that's fun.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think it's fun.
I like it.
It's bold. It's in your face, but it's not like really it's not like a destructive shirt. It's not really talking shit. It's just kind of funny.
It's funny.
It's funny. If you don't get it, then
I like
it's kind of like the you can't kill big bucks, your wife sucks kind of thing. It's like if you don't get it, if you get mad about it, then you probably
don't
Hang
understand
out
it.
with us anyways. So
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely true. Dude, this is an exciting podcast.
Yeah.
Jacob, thanks for letting me co-host.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing me down here and co-hosting and stuff. It's been awesome, Greg.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us in. And
Absolutely. You
Thanks
guys
for
are
doing
welcome
This is
anytime.
amazing. This has been awesome, and I'm glad you decided to share the story with us. This is going to be really big news, and I think it's
one
really
of
going to
one of many chapters we'll share together.
Yeah.
I think it's really going to take the firearm industry, like bring a whole new fire to the industry, like you were saying earlier.
For sure.
That's my goal.
Two things on my end, and then I'll let you close out however you want to close this one out, buddy. Good luck bear hunting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And next time we'll do the next podcast. I want to do a follow up in a year, but the next one we'll do at the studio again.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because you got to see the changes and the
see it.
updates.
Yeah. You show me the earlier pictures. It's fantastic.
Dude, it's so getting close.
It's going to be sweet.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
So
couple months.
I'm hoping by the end of the month. That's pushing it, but we'll see. So anyway, good luck. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll see you at the studio next time.
That's all I got. Thank you. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Kurt. It's been awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Good time.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to end with?
No, I appreciate the time. And obviously your voice in the marketplace and what you guys do to get people interested in guns and hunting and shooting and the outdoors, because I recognize your voice carries a lot of weight to get people to actually go out and do things, right? And you keep it real, right? And I think that's why people follow you guys, and that's why people wear your shirt.
Yeah.
Even if they're not felons.
Right?
I look like one. I'll wear it. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.